Our Marauder Horsemen and Horsemasters peak skirmish in Tides of Torment. Strap into the saddle. I want to give us a deeper look at the issues with the Norscan horse skirmish units, Regiment of Renown included, and I feel validated in my beliefs about these being priceless against other Chaos factions in a Throgg campaign. Throgg, with basic horsemen, got amazing value out of them, as opposed to Wulfrik, who makes them pop off like Throgg does with trolls. It's kind of crazy in a good way. Let's take a closer look. Horsemen are recruited for 525 gold and 131 upkeep, arriving on Ultra Scale with 60 entities with 5,460 health between them. Some cavalry have 48 entities, Armor comes at a mere 15. Leadership 48 is not high. Speed 90 and charge speed 110 are some of the best in the game. It's not that the charge speed is the best, it's that the normal running from the enemy baiting it into your line speed is so high. Melee attack begins at 22, which is low. What's probably worse is attack interval 5 seconds rather than 4. No splash damage. Melee defense 20 is also low. Weapon strength 24 is split base 20 and armor piercing 5, on par with similar light cavalry. Charge bonus is 24 and mass is 500. Note that Wulfrik, even right out of the gate, will grant charge bonus plus 15 flat for them, so 24 becomes 39, which means melee attack becomes 61 for the first hits, and weapon strength becomes 53, at least at first, heavily tilted toward base damage. Ammunition begins at 16 volleys. This is a light cavalry javelin. By default, it has no anti-large. Range 18 meters is not that far. Official missile damage is 24. Each javelin doth chucked does base 15 and armor piercing 7 per impact, which is a good deal more armor piercing than archery tends to do. I'm one of the crazies who made good use of Goblin Wolf Raiders with bows, so I know. Reload time is 9 seconds, which is not all that bad at all. Total accuracy, the standard 20, calibration distance 50 meters, meaning the accuracy suffers past that, calibration area 2.3 meters, meaning this is not hyper accurate, but it isn't that bad, and will get better with veterancy. There is a small penetration cap and a maximum of targets penetrated after the first of 2, and given this is chucked from horseback, the favorable travel arc gives you some shot at shooting through multiple entities consistently. Recently, I fought a Marauder Spearman of Tzeentch unit with a goon squad of 4 of these, under Throgg, and they shredded that poor thing once that barrier came down. It was pretty fast too. It was impressive. The unit can hide in forest and has Vanguard deployment and fire whilst moving 360-degree fire. It has rage, so it'll fight even harder when you get it into melee, despite the obvious danger of keeping it there. Now, the throwing axes version. Recruited 625 gold and 156 upkeep, this unit actually has a shield for 30% missile block chance. Most melee stats are identical, the exception is melee defense, which is 26 or 6 better just from having the shields. Small but hey, it means they have better odds left in combat. That's good because ammunition 12 means they will run out faster. Range 70 meters is not long. Missile strength is 27 officially, but what really matters is each axe hurled does base 6 and armor piercing 21. There is no shield breaker for the mounted version. Reload time 10 seconds, a little slower, total accuracy 20 to start, calibration distance 40 meters, so it loses accuracy faster. Calibration area 2.0 is slightly tighter to counter that, same small penetration cap, same max targets penetrated 2 after the first. Same rage, Vanguard deployment, fire whilst moving 360 degrees. At this point, we'll look at the Regiment of Renown, because Riders of the Mighty Serpent are based on the base unit. Recruited for 750 gold and 188 upkeep, adjusted upward in 7.1 patch. This unit has physical resistance 5%, leadership 58 in its eternal rank 9 state, speed 95, charge speed 115, melee attack 29, but each blow is magical attack, making it a scary counter Norsca and anti-chaos unit. Melee defense is 27, no shields to be found. The other stats are unchanged for melee. For ranged, the base stats didn't change, but each javelin is also magical attack, making it hugely valuable. Each javelin does base 15 and armor piercing 7, but has an inherent bonus versus large of 5, so missile strength 27 split along the same ratio. reload time is reduced to 7.2 seconds because it's rank 9. The accuracy was crushingly low prior to patch 7.1, so being raised to 37 makes them far more respectable without being laser-sighted javelins. The unit has Rage and Strider and Immunity to Psychology, and Highland Forest and Firewall's Moving and Vanguard Deployment and Devastating Flanker, because why not? Now, for their ability, Battle Songs. I think it's like this. If there's an enemy within 55 meters, then allies within 100 meters of this unit gain plus 8 leadership and causes fear, if they didn't have causes fear already. Good stuff. So it's better. Better is relative because we still have the Horsemasters to cover. Recruited for 750 gold and 188 upkeep, which is starting to get serious. Same 60 entities, new 5,880 health. Armor of 50 means a full 35 better than we started with. It's like going from handgunners to nulled Ironsides. Leadership 54 is 6 better. Speed is still the amazing 90 and char speed 110, meaning we didn't lose any for that extra armor. Melee attack is only 26 at rank 0, same 5-second attack interval. Melee defense of 26 is 6 better without shields involved. Weapon strength 28 is split base 21 and armor piercing 7 like an Empire Swordsman or basic Marauder. Charge bonus of 30 is 6 better, mass 750 is 250 better, 50% beefier. For ranged, ammunition 18 is 2 better than the default, and that's the default javelin chuckers, 6 better than the throwing axes. Range, 19 meters, gives you more wiggle room for skirmishing. Missile strength, officially 33, purportedly 9 better, and that breaks down to base 18 and armor piercing 8 damage per javelin impact. Reload time is 8 seconds, which is 1 second better. Total accuracy 30 is 10 better than the standard. Calibration distance 55 meters is a little longer to track with the range increase. Calibration area 2.3 meters remain the same. Small penetration cap and max circus pinned after the first of 2 are the same. Horsemasters get Rage, Highland Forest, Vanguard Deployment, and Firewalls Moving, and they're 360 degree. Now, before touching anything else, let's talk about Juggernaut of the Sarl. Wulfrik's skill of this name applies to his own army whether confederated or not, unlike the charge bonus mentioned earlier. All of the aforementioned units will get a bonus versus large of 12 in melee, which means that if the opponent is lightly armored like mounted yeomen or dark riders, they're probably going to get shredded, even in pitched melee combat. So that's number 1. That's emphatically not their strength here, but it exists. 2 is Wyrmpiercer Ammunition. The Marauder Horseman base version and the ROR gain a damage-only bonus versus large of 15, split along the armor-piercing ratio so far as I know. To get precise, missile strength 22, not averaged over 10 seconds, becomes 37, with base 25 and armor-piercing 12. Against a steam tank from the rear, where directional armor is almost no factor, the throwing axes are better, yes, but the javelins are chucked faster. If any base damage is getting through at all, the javelins are a lot more decent. Moreover, this is for the basic horseman unit. The RR has an inherent bonus versus large of plus 5 with his javelins, so it gets a little bit better. For Horsemasters, they go from 0 bonus versus large to bonus versus large 25, meaning that each impact from the javelins goes from 26 to 51 with base 35 and armor piercing 16. At this point, with a significantly faster release than throwing axes, we can say that against the extreme steam tank example this is competitive, and against what's armored short of that, these are terrifying. Example, basic trolls, or ice trolls even. Of course, this won't matter against infantry, but the javelins might overpenetrate them anyway, so it's not like they're bad. In the redline skills, Beast Slayers grants ammunition plus 20% and missile strength plus 8% at 3 pips. That means throwing axes go from 12 to 14, and base horsemen go from 16 to 19. If rank 7 or above, Hardened Hunters. Missile strength plus 12% again, real-time reduction 10% is really nice for getting that damage out, and missile resistance plus 15% is of course of outsized importance for a missile skirmish unit on the hoof. This was fast, but these boosts are already powerful. In the tech tree, Chaos Surge does its usual recruit rank +1 and leadership +4, and these weren't high leadership units until Raised kicked in. The tech affecting normal hunters does not apply. Horsemasters Clinchers grants reload time reduction +10% and speed +10%, no level requirements. Champions of War gives 5% bonus casualty replenishment and gives +10% physical resistance, but only to the ones ranked 7 and above. Should you make Louis Leoncoeur your personal piñata, Destruction of Bretonia would grant speed +10% to Marauder Cavalry and charge bonus +10% for everything. So how do we use Horsemen and Horsemasters? Having gone over all the differences and the ways to make them more amazing, you are a squirrel. Your job is to make the enemy yell, "Squirrel!" and chase you across the battlefield as you chuck spears or axes, as the case may be, damaging the foe while leading it on a merry chase. Merry for you, not so merry for the enemy. Your job is first to annoy, then to divide, and finally to destroy. If an isolated enemy routes from missiles, like that poor Marauder Spearman of Zinch I mentioned earlier, mercilessly charge it and wreck it further in melee for free. If you're chased by hounds, withdraw to safer areas. If you're kiting a lord that has less than 100 armor, or you have throwing axes, just keep it up and keep your distance. If you're annoying flying enemies into attacking, get out of there and get to friendlies. You are a squirrel. It's not your job to stand and fight unless the enemy is weak. Now, I grant you, Horsemasters have a much more stinging nut to hurl, but the same principles still apply. Skirmishers are a supporting arm of battle, but what these boosts do is raise, in the main, speed, missile damage, and reload time reduction. You are meant to strike first, unload your damage for maximum effect, and make vile insults about the enemy's mothers as you retreat. Your highest mission is to make the enemy respond to you in the stupidest, most suicidal manner possible. You do this like you would with an amoeba. Stimulus through pain. Like I said at the start, I've used these methods to pull enemies into Throgg's loving embrace. Wulfrik makes Horsemasters really sing, and sting, at a level you almost can't believe without seeing it for yourself. But this is a luxury. The necessity is having enough mobility to force the enemy to fight you on your terms. And while that might not matter if you have literally zero missile infantry and are doing total rush tactics, but more often you're trying to eliminate an enemy's mobile assets quickly because of weird army compositions. If the enemy brings 7 Warhound units, you want them gone. The rest isn't that scary. You shouldn't bring 7, by the way. That's too much, but you should be prepared to lure such a force into a hunter killing zone. It's not that these are the only tactics, but they're tactics that can work with Tier 1 and Tier 2 units at scale, and that's why it matters. They're tactics that can make the rest of your forces do better, because the speed and reach lets you get around the enemy's flank and chew it up from behind. The more you can do that, the bigger your win. Hitting the blob, fighting your lord from behind at range makes your victory snowball. And snowballing is what Norsca is all about, right? Take care and have fun being the squirrel with a gun, so to speak. Different game.